Welcome.
Welcome.
I'm Angus,
And I'm Malcolm.
and today we are going to be talking about what life is like being a twin, because we are that. Malcolm and I are twins. Twin brothers.
That's why we sound pretty alike, and sometimes it's really hard to tell who's talking at one time.
Yeah, we know. We listen back to our podcasts, and sometimes we can't tell.
Yeah, it's like when we look at baby photos of ourselves and we're like...
So,
Right.
where do we start?
Well, it all started in the operating room. Not operating room. What is the name of the room where you get bored? It's the emergency... No.
They operate on you.
But it's not the
Like-
operating room, is it? It doesn't
Okay,
matter. Either
that's a
way.
little too early. Anyway.
Is it early? It started when we were born. I was born with like a clubbed foot, so my foot was turned to the side, like 90 degrees. So then they had to like fix it and stuff. So I was in a cast.
But the best part of that is that as a baby, they could never mix us up. Or
it was so
accidentally-
easy to tell because I just have this big bandage, or I had metal boots on to make sure that my foot would heal properly and that I could walk properly and that I could really learn the sort of things a baby does.
Until we developed actual differences, so our parents never mixed us up at birth or anything.
No, not really.
They knew exactly who was who because I kicked Malcolm's butt in the womb and obviously broke his leg.
And Angus is older, I guess. Technically, no, because that depends on which sperm or whatever. It's confusing. Either way, Angus was the first one to come out of the area, and I was the second one to come out of the area.
I understand. I don't want to really talk
So-
about that either.
So he's older.
Yeah.
Um,
By 2 minutes.
by 2 minutes.
It doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
They ask who's older and they think it's going to
Every-
be like a day or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good
doesn't
question.
matter. It's such an incremental amount. It doesn't make a difference in like our growth or who we are.
So many people will walk up to us and say, "Oh yeah, are you guys twins?" And then the second question is almost always, "Who's older?"
We were born on the same day.
Why does it matter?
In the same hour.
And then
within
they-
the same 10 minutes.
They assume like that's the maturity stage and stuff, and it's like that's not really how it works. Although Angus can seem more mature than me at times, but then again, so can other people. So doesn't make a difference who was born first or whatever.
So, ever since, I would say, when I was a kid, I didn't take much notice of the twin thing.
Oh, not at all. Me neither.
I didn't really care about it. And when people would call me Malcolm, I'd kind of just brush it off my shoulder and be like, oh, yeah, I'm Angus. And I still kind of do that. Although, what happens is as you get older, you get more self-aware, you understand your
And
surroundings.
speaking of that self-aware, like when I was a kid and
Yeah.
someone would say Angus, right? I would not even react. I would keep doing what I'm doing. But now that I'm older, when someone says Angus, I look over because I'm like, okay, they're probably talking to me and they got it wrong because it's been just so long.
See, as a joke, often when people call me Malcolm, I just completely ignore them, and they'll keep saying Malcolm, Malcolm, and I just won't say anything, and they're like, oh.
That's not Malcolm.
Hi, Angus. And I'm like, yeah, what?
Or somebody will be like, hey, Angus, and I'm like, good try. And it's really mean, to be honest. Like, if I'm being completely honest with you, it's like one of the meanest ways to say it. But like, it's just it's been my whole life, and I'm almost over it, and I'm kind of getting through it. But like, it's just like, you tried your best and you missed the mark.
So, this is a genuine question, and this isn't like
For me?
asking, yeah, from me
Okay.
to you. And this isn't like asking for sympathy or anything like that, but from a twin to a twin, what for you has been the hardest part about being a twin? Not my brother, but being a twin.
Hardest part about being a twin is for people to find you unique. And
I was gonna say the same thing if you
because
would ask me.
Because like when you're a twin, almost all of the time you have the same friends because either they feel bad that they're leaving out one or the other, which don't feel bad that you're leaving out one or the other. It's literally we're both people. We're not the same person. We won't feel bad. Or second, it's that we have the same sort of personality. Like although there are a lot of different quirks, as you can tell by our other podcasts, we have the same interests and ideas, and that's why we talk for so long.
Yeah, I guess so. I completely agree with you. now that we're older, like when we were younger, obviously also since we were more similar, like there wasn't as much that made us different when we were younger. That's a fun fact about Malcolm and I. We weren't very different when we were younger, and I can understand why people got us messed up. But now we have more differences, and we've developed into our own people, and we're still obviously developing into our own people, but we're more different. So nowadays, I have not my friends, but we have different groups that we're in that define groups of friends that we have that others don't. Like, I go to cadets, so I have my friends at cadets.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. I thought you were talking about like friend groups at school, but that makes sense.
No, we're part of the same friend group.
And then I went to camp this summer, so I have friends from camp that like come over.
I have
sometimes and that kind of
absolutely
thing.
no idea who they are, their personalities, their names, or anything, and that's just the way we like it.
Exactly.
It helps us having our own friends and not having all the same friends makes us kind of feel special. Like while I went to cadet camp, back on the topic of cadets, they were like, "Wow, you have a twin," but it was never he was, and I don't mean to feel like to be rude, but you were never the subject of a conversation to me. And I feel like that's been a lot of it.
Except
Just like,
the moment we came to pick you up from cadet camp.
the moment they came to pick me up from camp, they were already swarming me. Then they saw Malcolm, and I went inside the office, and they started swarming him, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's the other guy. It's him, but not him. It's his brother." And they were like, "What's something Googlich would say?" And then I'm pretty sure it was Guatemala, camp nickname, not his real name. Just said, "Thick."
Oh my gosh, it was so. It wasn't that loud. It was kind of quiet. He was in the back and he was like, thick. And a whole bunch of people said a lot of other things that I guess were inside jokes that Angus had created over camp. But I'm glad he had that like relationship with people, and he made a good impact in that. They looked at me and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And they for a moment, it's like I was a creature they'd never seen before. They were over at like the basketball court or whatever, and I'm standing here, and they look at me, and then I look back at them, and they like turn away instantly, and then start talking to each other, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, he just looked at me. What is that?" That looked exactly like Googlich, right? It was the funniest thing because I had to be like, you know, I'm a person. You can come over here if you want and like talk to me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, right, yeah, I can do that." So then they walked over, and then we talked for a bit, and I was like kind of creeped out because they were like freaking out.
So, and that's got me thinking back onto the topic of finding your own identity. I, through my life, have also found that very difficult. Not really as much as Malcolm with friends, but like, I think for me, see, we don't actively really, when we were younger we did, but as of now we don't actively try to avoid being like one another. We just accept that's part of who we are. But as kids, it was kind of hard to not be associated with each other. Like, we went to all the same sporting events. There was pretty much, if you were to give a description of Malcolm or Angus, they would sound pretty much exactly the same. Would you agree?
I would agree at that point in our lives.
And now
for sure.
There are different things that we do, and I think the best way I can explain it about being twins and about being different is that our friends are friends with us for different reasons.
That is, I never thought about that. You're so right.
Yeah.
Friends are friends with us for different reasons.
So, and this is pretty obvious to you and to me. You seem to find that being a twin and having yourself more difficult than me. Why do you think that is?
Well, I always explain to people, I'm like, nobody really understands how actually difficult it is to be a twin over to be a regular sibling. Like, nobody understands. People always talk about how it would be amazing if I got twins when I was older, or like that kind of thing. But like, it's a difficult life at times. Sometimes you just don't want to be associated with them or whatever, and you just want to be your own person. And it's really hard to kind of like feel that way sometimes. It's really hard to not be associated with this person you've been associated with your entire life. And that's what really bugs me about it, I guess. And it's just hard to be, I don't know, unique, I guess, at times.
So we can talk for quite a while about the hardships we've had about being twins, but in the end, it's almost always just like, I want to be me, and I want you to be you, and I want those people to be more different than we seem to be. But at the same time, there are two sides to every coin. There have been good things about us being twins.
But wait, can we finish talking about the bad things? Because I forgot about something.
You can mention the bad things, just a few more if you like.
When people say that we are the exact same person,
That is the thing I dislike the most.
viewers,
I would say
listeners, if you are listening and you're actually understanding what we're saying, do not say that anyone is exactly like someone else. Like I said before, it's already hard enough in this atmosphere in society to feel unique yourself and to do things for yourself. But if you're already being called the wrong name and people thinking that you're someone else,
Your entire life,
no one wants to hear that you are exactly like
the one person you've trying
the
to
one person.
not be
And
like.
I'm not just saying you look exactly like. I'm saying when people say you are exactly like blank, whatever.
Even as a joke, you can tell me twin jokes. I can just blow them off my shoulder.
Funny.
I don't really care. But when, even as a joke, when you say, "Oh, you're exactly like your brother," that really hurts me.
It does.
Because, and I don't want pity or anything. It's a joke that I really don't want you to tell, because I've been living my life trying to be me, and no offense, you have some good traits that I like and have, but I don't want to be you. I don't want to be like you. I want to be like me. I want people to like me for me, not because of things that I share with you.
So yeah, that's just a little bit.
That was our little like angry ramble,
and
like,
you can. It doesn't really bug us when you say, "Oh, you look exactly like him" and that kind of thing. It's just when you completely disregard the fact that we're human, and you move past that, and you're like,
you're just twins.
you are exactly like this other person. So that's just the biggest thing that bugs us, and I'm sure it bugs other twins as well. Nobody wants to be exactly like someone else. People want to be different and unique and special. So yeah. So now we're going to talk about, because there is pros. And before we get into the pros, I'm just going to talk about what people think are pros to being a twin. So they're like people who we've just met, like people who like are new in school or new in the class or whatever. They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, are you guys twins?" And we'll be like, "Yeah, we're twins." And they look at us and they're like, "Have you ever tried like putting on each other's clothes and then going into each other's classrooms before?"
And we're like, "Yeah, we've been on this earth for like
Exactly.
more than almost 2 decades."
In like
yes.
grade 7 or like 6, yeah, a couple times, but it's not like we do it every day because it's so exciting and so exhilarating and so fun.
Ooh, I am such a genius. I am so sinister. I'm gonna listen to Malcolm's math class instead.
Exactly. We're in high school. We're in high school, so we don't want to go in each other's classes because
it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
Children.
High school is difficult. You need to understand the information. Why would you? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I said we're not children. I mean, in comparison to what we used to be, we are children still. In comparison to like a 20-year-old, I get that. But at the same time, I mean, we're not kids. We're not in elementary school. We do that in elementary school, not now, when classes matter.
Yeah, and other things might be mentioned about like what other people think are pros, but we're gonna go through.
I would say that's the biggest pro people see.
That's true.
But a lot of the pros that others see, they're kind of pros of just having the sibling. But I feel
no. They're pros of just like you look like another person, so maybe you can try this, you can try that.
But I think the pros that they say that are actually real.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the real pros we know, not we just think, but the ones we know that are pros to being a twin.
I would say a big pro is what we're doing right now. we're pretty good effective speakers. I have effective speaking training from cadets, and I like
Weird flex, but okay.
I I like to talk. I like to use words. I use big words because I think it's fun. But just overall, I like talking with you. And when we have deep and long conversations, and even when we have arguments and we don't get anywhere, it's still important that I have somebody to talk to. I think that's the one thing we complain just all the time about being twins, but in the end, the fact that I've always had somebody going through the same crap always by my side is really, really special and important, and I couldn't imagine if I didn't.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. It's amazing because when twins are born, they're from the same sort of sperm batch. So with identical twins, it's one sperm and then it splits and the egg splits into two from the same sperm. With fraternal twins, it's two different sperm that go into and the whatever either way.
One egg and then the egg splits.
They make
Oh wait, no,
No,
sorry,
two
two
eggs.
eggs. They fertilize
two eggs instead of one egg splitting. So Angus and I aren't the exact same genes, but we come from the same batch. That's what I always think of. We come from the same batch of genetic material, so therefore, my final point, our brains are pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
Our brains, so we accept information about the same way.
Okay,
and
this is. I'm sorry, I need to say this. Whenever Malcolm is saying something, he will say just like a quick joke or a quip or like something smart, and immediately after I will think, I was just about to say that. I would have said it 2 seconds after you just said it. And it's so annoying to me because he goes along, like sometimes we're on the same like thought train. We're on the same wavelength, that's what I meant. We're on the same train of thought, the same wavelength, and I'm just like, ooh, that'd be funny. What? You just said my funny thing. I wanted to do a funny.
But a twist on this, as I've been getting older, there are things because like I'm kind of a bit more socially anxious and stuff, and I'm more nervous about my presentation between people. There are certain things where I'll be like, oh my gosh, this joke could be so funny. Oh, but it might be kind of stupid. And then I kind of go in my head and I think about, and I finally decide, okay, I'm not going to tell that joke. That's really stupid. And then I hear Angus 2 seconds later tell the exact same joke I was thinking in my head, exact same wording, exact same punchline. And I'm like, I'm kind of glad somebody else said that for me.
See, I'm the kind of person that I'm thinking, ooh, should I say this? Ooh, should I ask this? Whatever. I am a doer. I am thinking I'm gonna do something. It's usually what I'm gonna say. I'm thinking I'm gonna say something, and you know what I do? I just do it. I just say it. I just tell the joke. Whatever. I like taking that risk, and I take it day after day. Today, I was thinking of a stupid joke in bio, and I was like, this is kind of crappy. Well, just gonna say it. And
What
I
was
did.
that? What was the thing I was talking about before we went on this ramble that you cut me off for?
That's kind of what
I
you
was
were
talking about the same brain.
Yeah.
And you were kind of
Sorry,
agreeing with
yeah.
me there. Same brain, which means that we have the same interests and we accept information the same way. So Angus and I were watching superhero movies when we were kids, and it wasn't like Angus was super into the superhero movie and I was like, Matt, I could be watching something else right now. I could be like watching, I don't know, Blue's Clues or something cooler. And then Angus...
Oh, Blue's Clues is way cooler than Spider-Man.
But it wasn't like that. It was like Angus and I are both staring directly at the TV and we're like, oh, this is so cool. Oh my gosh. This is like the best movie I've ever watched in my entire life. And that's why we have such a great connection, is because we have a lot of the same interests, not just because we were raised the same, but because we accepted the information almost the same way as well. And that's a pro. That's a really big pro. If you want, you can have someone talk to you about nerdy stuff or like stuff that seems dumb in your head and still completely understand what they mean. Rarely do I not understand Angus and what he means.
That I didn't even think about that.
There is almost 0 times, or like there's basically no times where you'll say something to me and I have no idea and I do not understand what you mean because of that sentence. Like, what's your purpose?
Yeah.
I always understand your purpose under your sentences and that kind of thing. And that's a pro as well. It's not like a relationship or like a sibling where you got to be like, wait, it's like she said K with a period, and that's totally bad news. But then she said,
my gosh,
but then she
I
said, I
hate
love you, and you're like, I don't know, right? But with Angus, it's like Angus says, all right, Malcolm, I'm gonna go to bed now, and it's like, okay, he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I'll let him go to bed. It's the same wavelength, and it just works so well. And it's good when you're having a twin, and it's good that we do this thing, because it keeps us together because we fight quite a bit, and then there's no way like I could run away or something like that.
See,
but, yeah,
we're talking about the pros. Do you have any more pros you can think of right now?
Oh, I've thought of a lot of pros. There are pros.
Do you want to talk about our arguments?
Our arguments can get real bad because, yeah, like I said, same wavelength, but with certain things, Angus and I are both stubborn, so we will
fair.
both. I a little bit more than Angus, but we will both think that our opinion is the correct one when it's not even important at all.
Oh, the reason we continuously get in our... I am a strong believer, if you and the person are close enough and you're kind enough and you're friends in the first place, not mortal enemies, it takes one person to start an argument, and it also takes one person to end it. Because all it takes is just one of the people in that argument of two to decide that it's not worth it. Because if it's an argument like the ones we have, it's not. So I could just give up, or he could just give up, and the argument will be over. All it takes is fine, and that's it usually. But the problem is
that
whenever we get in arguments, I have such a strong belief that I am completely right, that most of the argument is spent with, I don't understand why you could possibly think that I am not correct. Here are all the reasons, and you still don't get that I am the one who is right.
Yeah, which is a waste of time, to be honest. And like when I was younger, I had a bigger temper, and it's just, it really affected the way I guess I grew up. It doesn't really affect me now. I've kind of got over it.
Yeah.
It kind of flares up a bit. But when I was younger, I had a horrible temper, and my sister and my brother would constantly nag me for it, and they would sing the song, and I don't remember what song it was, but do you remember the song where like he did a parody of like, either way, it was
Probably
it
a
made
Minecraft
me even more
parody.
angry. It was not a Minecraft parody, but my anger has over the years developed into me being more stubborn rather than me getting.
Attack!
Yes.
I remember we always said that.
I hate
which
that.
was stupid.
But yeah, it was just this thing that developed into me being stubborn. So that's kind of why I don't really. More I do this now, I like say, fine, okay, you win.
Yeah.
Sort of situations.
Which is
with,
hard.
not just with Angus, but with other people
Malcolm,
as well.
I have my hand on Malcolm's left shoulder right now, and I'm saying this to him. I really appreciate it when you just give up. Not it's not because I want to be right that badly. It's because I am being stubborn and you let me just go crazy. And
We
then,
both go crazy. We both let each other go crazy. It gets kind of rough.
Yeah,
We egg each other. We know. Okay, so here's another thing about being a twin. You know each other's weak spots. You know what pisses each other off. So when you're in a fight, not just hitting, but when you're in a verbal fight, oh my gosh.
So speaking of verbal fight.
Oh my gosh.
So often what flares me up into an argument is not something that happens once, but it's something we don't often fight. It's not a common occurrence. It is a I don't know. It's like it's not annual, but it
Not annual. I'd say it's bi-monthly.
yeah, something like that.
We get a bad argument.
So what bugs me is things that reoccur, and I feel we're different in this because the problem, because we're twins, is that we're very similar people, so we're gonna argue the same things, and yet we'll believe something completely different. So I really hate things that keep happening, so I bring up and I'm like, I hate that this keeps happening. Don't you hate it when we're moving furniture or moving stuff that's heavy? Why do we always yell at each other about
So
that?
whenever me and my brother are carrying furniture, apparently, it like,
You're doing that wrong.
Exactly.
Ow, that hurt. You're going too fast. Why are you going the speed of light? Why are you going so slow?
it triggers everything. It's mostly because Angus goes slow when he carries
Can
things.
you?
It's calm down. It's because he's careful and he's more slow, and I'm like, I just want to get this done, and then it just flares up everything that we're doing wrong, and then it gets bad.
So recently, we got in a small, like a short argument about knuckle cracking, and he hates it when I roll.
Ah! I hope you heard that on the mic because
he hates it when I roll my knuckles.
Stop it! Okay.
I just did the other hand. So,
Okay, so rolling knuckles really hurts me because it makes me cringe, but it also hurts me because when I crack my knuckles, I've never really cracked them properly. I crack my knuckle and it pains me so much. So when other people crack their knuckles,
Secondhand pain.
Secondhand pain. I feel that same pain, and it actually makes all my muscles and
Tense
stuff
up?
tense up
Yeah.
and flex, and it just kind of
Weird flex,
clenches
but
my
okay.
whole body, right? And
So I crack because recently I've just been rolling all four of my knuckles at the same time. I just keep doing that, and I do it like twice a day, and it just goes so smoothly. And it's a way for me to just like kind of distract myself if life's getting hard or like things are confusing or for anything. I just crack my knuckles and not think about it. I like doing it, and I was just passing by, and I think Malcolm was playing video games, and I'm pretty sure he even had his headphones in, and I cracked it, and he's like, "You can't do that." And
I was like,
then I brought up this. I should have just been like, okay, but like, I brought up his tone because I just have an issue with Malcolm's tone. I need to get over it, but I'm like, why'd you say it in that tone?
Even when I do not have a tone, it's like your mom, and you're like, okay, mom, and it's like, what's that tone you're using with me? And you're like, I just want to go to my room and clean it, right?
And at the same time, you know how it said it's easier for us to understand each other?
Yes.
I legitimately don't understand that you don't get what I mean when I say you have a tone and you don't know the difference.
Sometimes I do know the difference, and I just want you to shut up. Sometimes I'm like,
Okay.
I'm not using a tone, and then I use the exact same tone, and I'm just like, oh, I used a
Yeah.
tone. Yeah, whatever.
By the end of the argument, I don't know why I was so flared up, but I looked him straight in the eye. I only cracked one hand. I looked him straight in the eye, and I gave him this dumb look, and I cracked my other hand.
Oh my gosh, I
and then
remember that
stormed
now.
off to my room, and I felt so smart, first of all, because I thought
remember.
I'd teach him a lesson.
I was
and such.
thinking about where you
But,
were
like,
going with this, but oh my gosh, that was
But
horrible.
overall, those kinds of arguments, it ends with us just like, both of us should apologize. And
That's usually what happens
See,
the majority
okay.
of the time.
I think the fact that we're twins,
Yeah.
I don't really know this because I don't know a lot of siblings that seem to get in as many fights as we do, but I think it's because we're so similar, it causes us to get into arguments because we kind of just, we were born and we kind of just are stubborn, and that's just who we are as people.
Yeah.
And I think because we're so similar, it's caused this, the animosity of our childhood is just what causes us to get so angry at each other just automatically.
Yep.
And where was I going with this?
You're saying fancy words, so you must know.
Yeah, we just we get so angry at each other, and when we were younger, I always felt like, not when we were younger, in the recent past, in last year and earlier and most of last year, this year has been much better. I felt that after arguments, what I thought was the solution, usually we both ended storming off, but I would come back and I would say, Malcolm, I'm sorry, it wasn't worth the effort. That's it. But I would just go up and I would apologize. And let's be honest, you would never reciprocate.
I did that not too long ago. I did that.
That's
like a
what I'm
week
saying.
ago.
That's what I'm saying. Hold
Okay,
up.
good. I'm glad. I thought you
In-
were like. Ooh.
What's made it really different for me and what's given me a completely different perspective on you is that recently I feel like you've really grown in the fact that after that argument, you came to me and you apologized. I didn't care enough to apologize, but you opened my door and you said, Malcolm, I'm sorry. And you said, now we're getting the name wrong. You said,
the funniest thing if I went into Angus's room and said, Malcolm, I'm sorry.
but he came in and he's just like, Angus, I'm sorry. And he didn't say I shouldn't have done that or anything, but he was right and he knew that, and yet he still came and he apologized. And I feel like that's really important with twins and with siblings, that
you apologize for the way, not just what you said, but the way you said it and what you intended to mean by saying what you said.
But at the same time, I feel like sorries are one of the most important parts of being a person, not a sibling. Sorries are very, very important. And I think a sorry that's not genuine is a completely useless apology.
It's a waste of time.
I feel like when you mostly were younger, and in the past as in like last year and earlier, which is what I'm using as the fairly recent past, but not that recent, you said a lot of apologies, but not a lot of them were genuine. Or didn't sound that way. Do you agree?
Yeah, of course.
It made things more difficult. But off of that depressing note and all the arguments and such, what else do we have to say about being twins?
I literally think we've covered all of it. For us, at least. Like, other twins, if you ask other twins, I'm sure it'll be different. I encourage you, if you know a pair of twins, besides us, please don't walk up to us and ask us this stuff. If you know a batch of twins, ask them the things we told you about today.
You mean, not a batch, a pair.
Did I say a batch?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. I don't know why I said that. Sorry, it came out of my mouth. If you
how much is the unit of a batch? Is it more than 2?
I think it's more than 4.
Okay,
Either
continue.
way, you walk up to a pair of twins, ask them these kind of things, and ask them like if I said you were both exactly the same, would that bug you? Or if I said you guys look extremely alike, would that bug you? Sort of thing. And maybe you'll learn something about that, and maybe you'll just eventually talk to them and introduce yourself and
frankly,
say hi to them.
You and I look similar.
We do.
There are things that I do to myself to separate my style from yours.
Correct.
I do my hair similarly, but I intentionally, like, I do it the way that I would like to have it done. We have different face shapes. Our faces look very similar, but we have different general face shapes. We have similar builds, but we also wear different stuff. And I just encourage you, if you have any comments or questions or anything, which it's unlikely if you do, but if you just have one, you can put it in the comments. We read all of them.
Even if it's stupid, we'll probably still answer with it. And do you have anything else to say about being a twin? Yeah, I know. So I think that's almost the end of the podcast, but before we finish off here, we just want to explain a little thing we're thinking of.
So this podcast has been kind of loosey-goosey, just like a conversation about being brothers and being twins.
For our podcast.
I was saying this podcast. It's been kind of everywhere and just about generally us being brothers, and we just thought we'd do something different to things that are both specifically related to the character of Spider-Man. But we, in the first place, and as of now especially, we never really wanted this podcast to specifically just be about superheroes. I mean,
and that's the main reason why we're making this podcast.
Yeah, we love superheroes, and we can talk about them forever. Our last podcast was
like
1 hour and 7 minutes. Or no, the first one was 1 hour and 7 minutes, and the other one was like 57 minutes. So this one was quite a bit shorter, but that's not really related. We want to talk about other topics, of, and you might have read this in the description of our last podcast, but I don't expect you to read the description of YouTube videos.
So just, if you want, please leave your suggestions in the comments for this one.
For different topics.
For different topics. So please make this one a little bit seriouser. We're not going to talk about any really stupid stuff.
I mean,
besides,
okay,
is water wet?
They can be from the range of, and we can cover more than one topic in one video. They can be the range of silly to super serious. We're open to talking about anything.
As long as it's nothing inappropriate,
Yeah.
because this podcast is
So
not.
it can go from the
that way.
range of is water wet and is a hot dog a sandwich to is there free will.
It doesn't matter. Please just leave your suggestions in the comments. And thanks a bunch. If you haven't seen our other 2 podcasts, go check them out.
If you don't care for superheroes, we understand that you don't check them out.
And just be aware that there are going to be more videos coming out, and we're going to be talking about. Eventually, we're going to be talking about the new Avengers movie that's going to come out, and we're going to be talking about Into the Spider-Verse as well. Probably.
I'm so excited for Into the Spider-Verse.
And we're gonna talk
If you have not heard the song Sunflower by Sway Lee and Post Malone, listen to it.
Oh my gosh, that song is going to be irrelevant in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to apologize because last week we didn't post a podcast. I know nobody's like on our schedule, but we've been posting these every Thursday, and this one will be posted on Thursday, even though it was recorded on Monday. We don't record them and post them on the same day.
It's not Monday.
Oh, it's Tuesday. But we don't record them and post them on the same day. These things take development. There's post-production and audio quality stuff.
Okay. Either way, thank you so much for listening and for actually staying all the way through to listen to us talk about us for like 38 minutes. How did we finish our last one? I don't know. We just said bye or something. It was really stupid.
It was what?
Oh, well, I liked it, but we don't have an
I want to
outro
get
or
in an
anything.
argument right now, Malcolm.
Don't get in an argument with me.
Okay. So, yeah, post your topics in the comments, and we will probably do them.
We'll write them down, and we'll talk about it together, and we'll evaluate, and we might talk about it in a podcast or make it a whole podcast.
Okay.
Angus and I, the reason we do these things is just because we realize
I enjoy talking to you.
we enjoy talking to each other, and we enjoy talking a lot, and we have good speaking voices because of our different activities, I guess. So, if you want to see more of these in the future, I don't want to say it. Can you say it?
Say what?
Leave a like.
No.
Subscribe.
No, okay. Leave a like. It really helps the channel. No, it doesn't. A like doesn't make a difference.
But subscribing does.
If you are listening to this and you aren't subscribed, how have you endured hours of content and not subscribed?
Okay. I think that's all we can say.
We have really rambled in this podcast, haven't we?
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.